I'm pleased to welcome next Jon Carder from Empyr, a recent rebranding from Mogul, and he'll be talking about online to offline commerce. Great, thank you.
Hello. All right, let's see how this thing works. Make sure we're on. Okay, perfect. All right, so yeah, we're here to talk about online to offline commerce. And specifically talking about, we have tracking capabilities, and I'll get into detail of how that works, but really it all boils down to how do we make money from online to offline commerce. I think we've all seen a million talks on connecting the online world to the offline world, but I'm here to tell you guys about how to make money from offline transactions. So some fun stats first. Obviously, almost everybody's online, but we spend about 11 hours a day online, which is kind of scary to think about. We are spending a lot of our waking time online, yet there's still 93% of commerce is offline. And these are things like purchases at restaurants and gas and grocery. It's where most of the commerce still exists. It's about $4.5 trillion a year. So there's this massive opportunity to connect these worlds. If I was online and I was just walking down the street and this could suddenly just notify me that there was an offer at a restaurant that was 10 feet away from me and I could just walk in and not have to pull out my phone and not have to check in or not have to do anything and just be able to somehow get that offer automatically, that would be amazing. And that's really been sort of the challenge, is everybody's trying to solve online to offline commerce. I think everybody in the room understands the opportunity size, but it really hasn't taken off. There hasn't really been one great solution. And so when you look at sort of what the problem is there, is why this didn't really take off, why there hasn't been something that's become ubiquitous, I think the most important thing is friction. All the solutions that I've witnessed so far either had friction on one side or the other. Either the merchants, these offline businesses had to install something in their POS system, or they had to train their staff. It's something that just kind of made it a little too challenging for them to jump in. Or there was friction on the consumer side. So on the consumer side, you had to download an app, or you had to check in, or you had to scan a QR code. Anything you're asking either side of them to do besides pull out a credit card and pay like they do today is going to slow down the adoption and is going to keep a solution from truly getting ubiquitous. So what we're here to talk about is Empyr's solution, which has zero friction on either side. So contrary to the belief of some of the people that are in finance that tell me that I'm high or lying when I say that I have Visa, MasterCard, and Amex data, we actually do have a partnership with all three providers. And what this allows us to do is to have a consumer who opts into this program. We can track a transaction that they do at an offline business, like a restaurant, salon, spa, etc., in real time, instantly. It usually happens always within under a minute, but sometimes it's within about 10 seconds. So we've sort of solved that problem of ubiquity. The business owner doesn't have to do anything, and the consumer doesn't have to do anything different. The business owner already accepts credit cards. Consumers already have credit cards. So it makes for a really seamless effort. But what we're really here to talk about is revenue. So once we had this in place, and by the way, we've been around for about 5 years. We've raised about $35 million. This was a big pain in the butt to get this. But we have it today, and so what we've done is we've built a platform. So this allows anyone here in the room, if you have consumers that use your website or use your app, or you have merchants that you work with, you'll be able to monetize online to offline commerce. So the way it works is, first you get the merchants on board, and they create an offer. The merchants create something to attract somebody into their place of business. And I'll go into detail on how each of these works. Next, you have an online publisher. This could be any website, any app you can think of that has consumers as a core base. They show the offer. And the consumer then sees the offer. Inside of the offer, it says, in order to redeem this, there's no coupons, there's no check-ins, just link up your credit or debit card. They go ahead and do that right on the app or website that they saw the offer on. They walk into the store, they swipe their card, and then about 10 seconds later, they get a notification. And we also notify the online publisher, and we notify the advertiser as well. And what happens at the end of the day is everybody shares the revenue. So typically, an offline business will be charged something like 10% here. It's a pay-per-sale program for offline businesses. That 10% will be shared with the publisher, so that everybody wins. Whoever brought on the advertiser makes money on every single transaction. Whoever brought on the consumer makes money on every single transaction. Now, let me walk you guys through exactly how this works. So on step one, where the merchant actually creates the offer, you have real-time flexibility. So they set up sort of their week calendar and they say, okay, I'm dead on lunches. This is a good example of a fine dining restaurant. I'm dead on lunches, so let me offer 20%, but on Friday night, I'm packed, so I'll go down to 1%. So they set this up, sort of set it and forget it. Once this is set up once, it's set up permanently. And if you happen to have relationships with advertisers, this can be all brought into your system using our API. So this can sit under your brand, this whole experience sits on your website, and this is sort of another product you can offer to those merchants. Once that offer is created, it's then marketed. And it's almost entirely marketed via geofence. So, Dennis is up speaking later, about Foursquare. Perfect example, right? Somebody could be on Foursquare right next to this merchant, looking at their app, checking in, and all of a sudden up pops an offer for a restaurant that they checked into, or that's right down the street, that's powered by Empyr. And that's how the consumer sees it. They're on an app or a website in the area. Once they, and this is kind of some of the examples that we have live. So I just talked about Foursquare, but which isn't live, or we're not working with them yet, but Living Social we are. This went live about 2 weeks ago. And this is a good example. They're kind of using their website, their app, and email to promote these offers. So if you go into Google and you type in Restaurants Plus, you'll see this whole program. This is all powered by Empyr. And what it does is they do email campaigns for offers. They have it on their website. It's not a daily deal. Right? They still have their daily deals section of their website, but this is entirely new. This is a way to offer, cashback offers at local businesses. Consumer links up their card, walks in, pays, and gets the offer. So they're really excited about this as sort of a new opportunity of business, whereas daily deals is sort of flatlined a little bit. This is a massive sort of growth engine for them. Another good example is Virgin America. They actually take the whole product and turn it into a way to earn points. So if you have points-based programs with your consumers, you can do that as well. The way it works is at the end of the month, you get paid whatever cash the restaurant was willing to offer, or restaurant or salon or spa was willing to offer, and you can take that cash and you can turn it into points. Or you can just give that cash right back to your consumers. We have the ability to pay it right back on to any debit or credit card. So step 3, as we mentioned, the consumer links the card. They typically do this right inside of whatever website or app they see the offer on. It's all branded under the publisher's brand. And then step 4, the consumer just walks in and simply swipes the card, and instantly the transaction is tracked. And then the revenue is shared. So this is really the key piece of the product, is there's a 3-way split on the revenue share. Most merchants that are participating in this are willing to pay somewhere between 10 to 15%. So let me walk you through a good example. So let's say I'm a consumer on Living Social. I see that there's a sushi offer for 10% off at a sushi restaurant, which is right down the street. I see it on Living Social. I click, oh, that looks good. I want to get sushi. It's 1 o'clock. I'm hungry. So you click on that. It says, go ahead and link up your card. If I'm already a member of Living Social, it's going to actually show me the cards I already have on file. And it's going to say, link these up with 1 click. So I just go ahead and I link it up with a click. And it says, go ahead and enjoy your meal. I walk into the sushi restaurant. I sit down. I give them my card after I'm done eating. And as soon as they swipe it, Living Social is notified, and then Living Social notifies me, the consumer, and says, hey, if you just spent $10 or $100 there, you just earned $10 in cash back. So I just earned $10 as a consumer. I'm really excited. But the sushi restaurant's also paying a price per the sale. And let's say in this case they're paying 10%. Well, in that case, Living Social is probably going to end up with somewhere around sort of 3% or $3 off of that transaction. And whoever brought on the advertiser, the sushi restaurant, is going to end up somewhere around $5 on the transaction. And then Empyr takes a fee on top of that for our piece of the transaction. So everybody wins in the ecosystem, and all the revenue is shared. So off a single transaction, in this case, Living Social makes, say, $3. Well, the average consumer is spending at least $100 at all of these offline offers. So Living Social is making them, $3 per transaction. And then you start doing that out over a year. Now you're talking about $30 per consumer over the year. And we have been around for 5 years. We have consumers still using the program 5 years later and have spent thousands of dollars. So it's a really great monetization channel, a new monetization channel if you have the consumers. If you have the merchant, you're probably looking at anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 a month being spent per merchant in our program right now. And if you're making, call it 10% off each transaction, you can do the math there. You can make $300 to $500 per merchant that's inside of the program. So really good monetization for either the consumer or the merchant. And we've got the platform sort of all set and ready to go. There's also all kinds of analytics, reporting that you can give to the business owners. Everything's real time, so they get notified instantly, which is a great kind of wow experience. but you could also tell them average transaction size, average frequency, all kinds of data that they can't get from their POS system because we have the actual purchase data. And then finally, we have some pretty cool data because we have credit and debit card transactions. I can actually show before and after spend to a merchant. So these are case studies we ran with Visa for Jack in the Box and Denny's. We were able to say these consumers spent, $100,000 in, this 6-month period. This is how much they spent that same period a year ago. So before and after, black and white incremental lift. So thanks guys for hearing me out. If you want more information, just head on over to the Empyr booth out there. We'll be happy to answer any questions. Thanks.